Can the trades make as much as lawyers and doctors? Yes. Yes, they can. And I'm going to say exactly what you're probably already thinking. Yeah, if you own the company. Yeah, if you own the company. And there's a bunch of ways to do that. So one of the ways that you can do that is, well, let's go back for just a second. One of the things that people forget is that, doctors and lawyers go to school for a long time. I mean, doctors go to school for 8 years, and then they got to do the whole residency thing. I got a friend whose wife is a doctor, and apparently that whole residency deal's a nightmare, and you don't even get paid that well while you're doing it. I've got family members that are attorneys, and I know that they go to school for 7 years, and then they got to take the bar exam. But they can make really good money. I know of a lawyer right now that makes around $600,000 a year. Took him 20 years to do it, but hey, he's doing well. So that is part of the equation, right? Is that they go to school for a long time and they got to jump through a lot of hoops. And so when it comes to the trades, it's really no different. You may have to go work for an electrician, contractor, or plumber, or roofer, or HVAC, or whatever, right? Maybe a framer, carpenter, whatever. Get some time in, and then you can go get your license and start your own company, right? So or you can go to college, get a degree in construction management, get your general contractor's license, and get your start. But yes, in order to make lawyer, doctor money, or even more than lawyers and doctors, you have to own the company. And so some of the spaces that I've seen that work really well in are some obvious, maybe not, some not so obvious. And that is one, custom luxury homes. That's where I first saw the kind of money you can make in construction. My best friend's dad owned a construction company. I used to work for him back in the day when I was 13 years old, and then worked for him every summer. And that was the first time I ever saw somebody make real money, like a lot of money. They had cool stuff, went on nice vacations, had a big house. And that's what made me want to get into construction, because I thought everybody in construction was living like they were. And so the way that typically starts is usually one of two ways. They usually find somebody that wants to build a custom home, and they have the customer take out the loan and then they build it. That's one way to do it. But then that's usually how people want to try to start, because it doesn't really take any of your money, right? The other way you can do it, and this is how my buddy's dad did it, was they bought some land, built a house on it, then sold it to themselves in their own name at market value. And then I'm just gonna make an example. If they sold it for if they built it for $100K and sold it for $150, they made $150,000, or they made $50,000. So then they take that $50K, go to the bank, buy another piece of land, build another house, get another construction loan, build the house, and then try to actually sell that one. His wife ended up becoming a real estate agent, and 18 years later down the road, his son became a mortgage originator, and so he wrote the loans and became a family business. So that's one way. I know another guy I got a client that's out in Virginia who builds barn-dominiums in Alexandria. Makes a ton of money doing that. But he does it the first way. He finds clients who wants to have a barn-dominium built, and he charges them whatever he charges them, and he gets paid. He's made a ton of money that way. So that's one way. Another way is another obvious one, commercial real estate. And you'd be surprised how people get their start to get their foot in the door into commercial real estate. I actually worked for a guy who, his story goes like this. He was a journeyman electrician, got tired of basically doing all the work, and the guy at the top of the food chain was making all the money. He decided he wanted to make all the money, and he got his electrical contractor's license, and next thing you know, he started his business by wiring swimming pools here in Florida. And that's how he got his start. Next thing you know, he became a member of the Chamber of Commerce, met some people, and before you know it, through networking and wiring swimming pools, he started wiring like apartment buildings, like, you know, your typical garden style apartments. He did that, and then that led to him and his company doing what they do now, which is multifamily high rises all over the country. While I was working for him as a assistant project manager and a PM, I had projects that were in Atlanta, Nashville, Knoxville, Tennessee. They did projects in Colorado, California, Texas, the Carolinas, Florida, obviously. Building high rises literally everywhere, New York City. And I know that just one project that I was a part of made $36 million when it was said and done. It took 3 years to complete it, but when it was done, they made $36 million. And that was one project. So that's another way you can make a ton of money, and as a tradesperson, is start your own business and get into commercial real estate. It's going to take some work, but it can be done. And the cool part is if you're an electrician, plumber, HVAC, roofer, I don't know, just keep going on with the list of things you could do. You have one of the hardest parts down, and that's how you know the job, you know what it takes to make money. And as I've said before, without good tradespeople, you don't really have a business. But you still need to understand business and know how to play the game. And you can hire somebody to do that part, and that's exactly what I'd recommend. So the next thing you can do is government contracts. Government contracts make stupid money, and there's a bunch of sectors within that. So there's both federal and state. One of the craziest paydays I've ever seen and was a part of as a consultant was building bridges. Holy cow, is there money in building bridges. And not only that, because it's the government, it's a guaranteed check. You're going to get paid as long as you follow the rules and get it done. Can't be mad at that. So another thing you can do is follow disasters. Not obviously you don't want anything bad to happen, but they happen. And so whether it's hurricanes, fires, earthquakes, whatever, there's going to be both government and state, federal and state contracts, along with FEMA money involved. During the California wildfires, I was part of a deal where they were just hiring everybody they could to clean up all the debris from all the houses being destroyed. That was FEMA money and the state of California money. Billions of dollars were getting paid out for that. And I'm talking about just hiring people, paying them $30 an hour to shovel debris into a wheelbarrow to then take it to a pile that could then get scooped up and be thrown in the back of a dump truck. I mean, a company that was only had nobody, started out with 2 guys, and obviously after, with guidance, got them to where they had a bunch of employees. And we got them a bunch of employees because we posted that we were going to pay really well for this kind of work, and it did. They walked away with billions of dollars from that. The Maui fires in Hawaii was another one where there was just a ton of money being made in that. Terrible situation, but there's a ton of money in it. So disaster recovery projects for the government, lots of money in that. One that's also not a lot of people aren't big fans of, but there's a ton of money in when it comes to government contracts, is war-torn countries. I just so happen to know that they're going to eventually start building Ukraine. There's going to be trillions of dollars for that budget. Trillions. A lot of people don't know this, but the construction sector is the second largest budget the government has, and in 2025 it had a budget of $27 trillion. Imagine if you just get 1% of that, or even 0.001. That's a lot of money. Government contracts. And the good thing about government contracts is they have small business set-aside contracts, meaning the big players can't even get those contracts. There's a certain amount of numbered contracts that is set aside for small businesses so that they can get a start and have a fair. It's so that the big players can't just come in and swallow it all up, and then everyone else is like, it's rigged. I'm never going to get to play. Nope. They have set aside small business contracts. If you know how to get them, you can make a lot of money. Whether it's roofing, bridges, electrical, plumbing, demolition. Demo, man, makes a lot of money in government contracts. Asphalt, especially when you're talking about building runways for like the U.S. Air Force. Man, it just, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So yeah, there's a lot of money in government contracts. Another way that you can make a ton of money is obviously consulting. You can make a ton of money being a consultant. Being a consultant is basically like being a real estate agent of business, right? You eat what you kill, right? And that, obviously, you don't have to be in construction to be a consultant. You can be a consultant in any industry, right? You just have to have knowledge in that industry and how it works and bring some type of value to the table that people want or need. So consultant's another one. I know a business consultant right now, the guy that made me look into becoming a consultant. He had one client. It was the people that I worked for at the time. He made $500,000 a year, and he demanded that he only work 6 months out of the year. So he worked 1 week on, 1 week off, and he basically told him, you're gonna write me a salary for $500,000 a year. Because I watched what he did, I learned a lot of tricks too that I use to this day, like a lot of the perks of being a consultant. For instance, this car that I'm in right now, it's not my car. It's an enterprise car. I've had it it's a 2026 Jeep Wrangler. It's got 5,000 miles on it. I probably put 1,000 of those miles on it. I'll have it for the next 3 months, and then I'll go get another one. I get unlimited miles on it, and I charge the client for it, and the client charges charges it to the job. And there's tax write-offs for them and all this. And of course, as a consultant, I teach them all this, and it benefits them and me. So whatever. And that's what you do as a consultant, is you just find all kinds of ways to benefit their business, and obviously help them make more money, maybe help them grow, maybe get more employees. Sometimes they don't know how to hire employees, or sometimes it's just things like, hey man, like there's better ways and better software for this kind of stuff, and we really ought to be doing that. Yeah, I mean, just sometimes it's as simple as that. So yeah, there's a ton of money to be made in consulting. My mentor, he cleared, what did he tell me, 30 million last year as a construction consultant. So there's a ton of money in construction, right? And he started out like most guys do. He started out as a plumber, and then he did something real cool. He did plumbing and then became an HVAC guy, and he became a journeyman in both of those. He then decided he wanted to go to the office because he was getting kind of older. I want to say at that point, he started in the field when he was 18. By the time he got into the office, he was like 35, 36. He was just tired. He was like, man, I don't want to do this forever. Told the company he wanted to get in the office. They made him an assistant project manager. He learned, like contract negotiations, estimating, how to write RFIs, or requests for information, chargebacks, change orders, all this stuff, right? Everything that the behind the scenes stuff that's you don't ever see in the field as you're laying pipe or running wire. There's all this other stuff happening that's administrative that he learned. And so then he decided to become a consultant, and he's the one that told me, it's like the real estate agents of business. You eat what you kill. It starts out at zero. You're making $0, and then you just pray for one client so you can finally get a check to hit your bank account. And when that day finally comes, it's a really good day, right? But it doesn't start out at 500K, 30 million. You got to work for it. But those are some of the ways you can make a lot of money in the trades. And a lot of the guys, including myself, started in the field, learned everything they could. That was your 4-year degree, if you will, is going to the field, learning how to do the job. You got to be able to identify some things and know what good work looks like and what a good crew looks like, and more importantly, what makes crews happy. That's, in my opinion, very important. And then you can go on and do other things. You can start your own business, whether it's you're going to start a plumbing company or your own consulting company. You don't have to stay working for somebody as, not that there's anything wrong becoming a superintendent for somebody. There isn't. I know a lot of really good guys who do that, and they like it, and they're happy where they are, and they make really good money. They make over 200. I know one right now that makes over 200,000 a year. Great guy, really good at what he does. So, but yes, tradesmen can make doctor, lawyer money, and in some cases even more. So, till next time.